Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Coach Sark, the Texas Longhorns, they land one of the more fascinating pure football players that we see in the 2026 cycle as five-star athlete Jermaine Bishop committing to Texas. Now, this is a kid that probably lacks the ideal athletic profile for difference makers in the SEC. I don't care about any of that. Like, once you look at what this kid has done Friday nights in the fall, playing 6A football down in the state of Texas, once you take a look at what it looks like as a football player, the athletic profile means nothing to me. This is legitimately one of the better two-way football players we've seen come out of high school in an extremely long time. You're going to see the Travis Hunter comps for this kid, and I'm not going to get up here and say he's going to be the next Travis Hunter. Like, Travis Hunter, in my opinion, kind of a one-on-one kind of dude. I don't blame people for having that conversation because you see the avenue for this kid to make an impact on both sides of the football in the SEC for Texas. And I'll start with this. I love the fit. Do I think he plays two ways for Texas? No, probably not. He'll probably pick a side. It's hard to do that when you're playing for a Texas team that is loaded on both sides of the football. What a fit for Jermaine Bishop, because Coach Sark is one of the best in the country at taking these really good athletes, really good football players, and figuring out a way to make them impact guys at the collegiate ranks. You know, it was the same reason we were so fired up about Michael Terry committing to Texas. Very similar with Jermaine Bishop. You know, kind of two different athletic profiles and bodies, but very similar conversation in terms of this kid could play 4 or 5 different positions and probably have a lot of success. Now, what position is that going to be when he gets to Texas? That's the conversation we're going to get into. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, especially to the Texas fans, look, I think it's going to be a really fun next couple of weeks covering this program on the recruiting trail. Cannot thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, can we take a second and talk about this Texas program before we get into Jermaine Bishop? And what it starts, and I realized that I spelled his name wrong on the thumbnail, so we're going to fix that really quick. Now, when it starts with Jermaine Bishop, this is a guy that's done it in terms of production. You know, 13 interceptions over the last 3 years. And then you look at 2,900 receiving yards with 35 touchdowns. You're not going to find a player in the country that has produced, that has played at the caliber this kid has played on both sides of the football across the country. But I want to start with where this Texas program is. We all know the ceiling that Texas has as a program. Like, when Texas is maximized, you're looking at a program that has a ceiling that's a little bit different, arguably, from any other program across the country. And you are starting to see Coach Sark maximize this program. And it's really three prongs. It's number one, he competing for national championships every single year. If you were to ask me, projecting the next 10 years, I would be stunned if over the next 10 years, Texas is outside of the top 5 in preseason rankings for the next 10 years, if everything kind of remains status quo. Number two, you're developing guys into the NFL, which is another massive part of when you're evaluating a program and where they're at. And then number three, they have the financial backing. That's been made very clear. When you check those 3 boxes, that's how you maximize a program. And again, Texas maximized looks a little bit different from any other program across the country. Now, I want to get into Jermaine Bishop because this kid kind of fires me up. What position is he going to play? It's probably the question mark. When I turn him on Friday nights, it's really hard for me to argue that he shouldn't be on the offensive side of the football just because of how special he is with the ball in the air and with the football in his hands. Most notable with the football in his hands. I mean, we're not going to go through the full film, but you just take a look at what this kid does. It's freak. I don't think you can teach it. That's the it factor that you don't necessarily know how to quantify, but you know it when you see it. Like, that this is, I mean, right off the rip, we're talking about, like, that's incredible stuff. Then look at the pull-away speed. I mean, he's a guy that doesn't have like this crazy track and field profile to look at. You see it on the film. Like, when you're even with this kid, he's leaving. He's faster than everybody on the football field, and he makes it so easy, whether it's with the football in his hands Whether it's creating separation with his route trees, he makes it look so easy being a playmaker on the offensive side of the football. And for that reason, I look at him and say, to me, I want this kid in Coach Sark's offense. And what do we know about Coach Sark? He's gonna get the football to his playmakers in space and let them go make plays. This kid, I think, is built to play on the offensive side of the football for Coach Sark. The twitch is insane. The long speed is there. He has the ball skills necessary. Now, look, he could be a nickel corner because he likes to come down, get his nose dirty in the run game. He could be a boundary cornerback with the ball hawking ability he has. He could play safety as well because again, when the football's in the air, Jermaine Bishop's normally finding it. And again, this is a guy that can contribute, can play at a high level at a couple of different positions on the football field for Texas. Now, Texas's good problem to have is, all right, well, where are we going to put this kid? You look at Texas in 2026, you're going to move up the rankings with the Jermaine Bishop commitment. I don't think any Texas fans are worried about where you're ranked on the recruiting trail right now. I mean, they had the number one class in the country last year. They have, yeah, you could argue they have even more momentum behind them as a program at this point than they did last year. Look, I've been very clear. Texas is my number one team in the country going into 2025. If they play up to that level, that only feeds into what they're doing on the recruiting trail. Like these kids, yes, NIL matters, and we know that Texas competes at the highest level when it comes to NIL. That's not any different from any other programs across the country. Like these elite programs, they are all going to play ball when it comes to NIL. How do you separate yourself? You go out and compete for national championships and you go put guys into the NFL. That's what Texas is doing. That's what's allowing Texas to pull away from these other programs in terms of talent acquisition. And that's playing itself out on the football field as well. Texas is rolling. It doesn't seem like, in fact, I think they're speeding up. There's kind of no slowing down in sight for this program. Jermaine Bishop, really, really exciting cat. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.